In the realm of elite academia, high-stakes standardized assessments are frequently misunderstood. Most candidates approach these exams as a test of English proficiency, a measure of vocabulary and grammar. However, at the highest score threshold, the exam ceases to be a language test and becomes a cognitive processing assessment. The Standardized Assessment Board is not merely looking for correct sentences. They are searching for syntactic sophistication and logical density. I am Sloan, and this is Trinity English Scholar. Today we are walking the advanced academic path. We are dissecting the most complex component of the exam, the integrated tasks. Specifically, we are focusing on syntactic synthesis, the ability to interweave disparate sources of information into a single cohesive and high-status argument. We are moving away from linear reporting and into the world of conceptual governance. Before we deconstruct the architecture of a perfect score, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. To excel in an American graduate environment, you must curate an ecosystem of high-level intellectual signals. By subscribing, you ensure your daily evolution remains a priority. For those who demand the absolute peak of academic training, Trinity English Scholar offers a comprehensive curriculum designed to engineer your success in the world's most competitive institutions. Trinity is where the ambitious become the indispensable. If you are ready to pivot from answering questions to mastering discourse, let us begin our autopsy of the integrated task. The core concept we must master today is syntactic synthesis. In a standard response, a student will provide a summary of the reading, followed by a summary of the lecture. This creates a binary structure that signals a lower level of cognitive integration. It suggests that the student can understand the parts, but cannot see the system. A Trinity scholar uses the Scholarly Connective. This involves the use of complex subordinating conjunctions and high-status verbs to create a logical web. We do not simply say, the lecture is about X. We say, the professor elucidates a paradox that directly challenges the foundational premise of the reading. By using verbs like elucidate, contest, or substantiate, you are proving that you understand the relationship between the sources, which is the primary metric used by the examination authorities for a top-tier score. We are also focusing on lexical density. This is the art of packing more meaning into fewer words. In an academic context, wordiness is a sign of a weak argument. We use nominalization, turning actions into concepts, to maintain professional distance. Instead of saying, the people in the study didn't agree with each other, a Trinity scholar says, the discrepancy within the experimental cohort suggests a lack of consensus. This shifts the focus from the people to the data, which is the hallmark of the American Academic Register. In this window, visualize your response not as a report, but as a professional synthesis. You are the architect, and the reading and lecture are your raw materials. To understand the scoring gap, we must perform a molecular walkthrough of how a response is constructed. I have selected 3 entirely new academic scenarios. Walkthrough 1: challenging a biological theory. Imagine a reading passage that explains the island rule, suggesting animals on islands always evolve to be smaller to save resources. The lecture, however, presents the example of island gigantism in certain rodents. The non-Trinity scholar follows a linear path. In this walkthrough, the student says the reading thinks animals get smaller. Then they say the professor talks about big rats on islands. They conclude by saying the professor disagrees with the reading. This is fragmented logic. The student is treating the two sources as separate stories. The vocabulary is functional, using words like thinks, talks, and big. It lacks the gravity required for a 30-point score. The Trinity scholar performs a conceptual integration. In this walkthrough, the scholar begins by framing the conflict. While the reading passage posits that resource scarcity on islands precipitates a downward trend in body mass, the professor refutes this monolithic view by citing the phenomenon of island gigantism. The lecturer underscores that the absence of predators can counteract resource constraints, thereby invalidating the reading's universal application of the rule. By using precipitates, monolithic, and underscores, the scholar has transformed the response into a high-level scientific critique. Walkthrough 2. Deconstructing economic irrationality. Consider a task regarding the sunk cost fallacy. The reading defines it as a mistake where people keep investing in a losing project. The lecture provides an example of a failed aerospace initiative. The non-Trinity scholar uses narrative reporting. They explain that the sunk cost fallacy is bad. They tell the story of the airplane company that spent too much money even though they knew it wouldn't work. They say this is a good example. The language is too subjective. Using bad and good is common English, not academic English. The Trinity scholar uses analytical lexis. In this walkthrough, the scholar frames the example as a validation of the theory. The lecturer invokes the historical precedent of the Concord Project to illustrate the detrimental efficacy of the sunk cost fallacy. They continue by highlighting the irrational escalation of commitment despite mounting fiscal deficits. The professor substantiates the reading's assertion that psychological biases can distort economic decision-making. This is the academic pivot. The scholar used escalation of commitment and mounting fiscal deficits to bridge the theory and the example. Walkthrough 3. Synthesizing urban sociology. Finally, imagine a task on urban heat islands. The reading explains the physical causes, concrete and lack of trees. The lecture discusses a specific green roof initiative in Chicago as a solution. The non-Trinity scholar provides a sequential summary. They say the city is hot because of concrete. Then they say Chicago put plants on roofs to cool down. They say the plants help a lot. The logic is cause and effect, but it is oversimplified. The connections are then and because. The Trinity scholar uses structural synthesis. In this walkthrough, the scholar interweaves the problem and the solution within the same sentences. To mitigate the thermal absorption of urban infrastructure described in the reading, the lecturer proposes the implementation of vegetative roofing systems. They expand the logic. The Chicago study demonstrates that this intervention not only reduces the ambient temperature, but also optimizes energy efficiency, thereby offering a practical countermeasure to the environmental degradation outlined in the text. By using mitigate, thermal absorption, and ambient temperature, the scholar has created a technical brief. As we conclude, let us distill the scholarly protocol for the 30-point score. 1. Abolish linear sequencing. Move away from first, next, finally. Use notwithstanding and conversely. 2. Nominalize your observations. Turn verbs into nouns. Replace "the city got hotter" with "the thermal escalation within the urban core." 3. Use high-status synthesis verbs. Use "the lecturer posits," underscores, refutes, or substantiates. And 4. Adopt the case study register. Treat examples as validations of a theoretical framework. Your mission this week is to perform a syntactic pivot. 1. The synthesis sentence. Find two opposing articles. Write one sentence in the comments connecting them. While source A posits X, source B underscores Y, thereby challenging the foundational premise of. And 2. The nominalization drill. Take 3 simple sentences and compress them into one high-density sentence using at least 3 nouns to replace verbs. I am Sloan. At Trinity English Scholar, we help you command the intellectual landscape. I will see you in our next program.